maybe your first session and like the expectations and like that kind of stuff. I'm trying to watch as a woman that has the desire to do it but is terrified of doing it because, oh my god, what people will think.
We're always in a performance, right? Like, we've been taught, especially if you're a biological woman, that your body is your bargaining chip. Like, the thinner you are, your body is basically how you're judged, down to now your uterus and how fertile you are. It's like you're always under control. So I think it's a very vulnerable thing to show people, like, hey, this is my body, because you're like, I don't know. Ever since we're born, we are told our body needs to be this way, that way to be okay. So I think it's scary because I believe no one looks good naked. And that's okay, because like we use clothes to cover up stuff to make our bodies have a certain shape. And have you ever gone to the Korean spa where everyone's naked?
No.
Yeah.
You have, right? Like,
That's right.
Does anyone?
I was younger too, so I was like so stressed out. I was like, oh my god, I don't want people looking at me.
Yeah, but like, have you noticed everyone's body's flawed?
Yeah.
Even like the ones, if you put on clothing, it may have like, quote, looks good. And I'm putting good in air quotes because like, that's just like the beauty culture speaking. But like, everyone's body is like lumpy and shapy and misshapen. And you're like, you go there, you're like, oh.
Bodies. Like, no one cares.
So. Yeah, no one cares. And then like, bodies are supposed to be lumpy and misshapen and flawed, and like that's what bodies really are supposed to be, and we don't get to see that. Like, we don't get to see that because what we get to see is like airbrushed, produced bodies. Like, even right now, my body's being produced. We're putting on makeup, but still, right? Like, yeah.
I see from like a professional perspective. I love the natural beauty.
Mm-hmm.
I love as much as the enhanced beauty, because this is something ancient, right? Makeup.
Yeah.
The real line that people are forgetting to draw is like the photoshopping, the post production. Right?
Oh yeah, when they look totally when you know it's like not the actual body.
Make my waist like thinner. Can you fix my nose? Fix this. Fix that. And you can fix the image, but you're not addressing the whole thing, right?
Well, yeah.
How we see ourselves and really comfortable.
I mean, it's hard, right? Because it's painful. Like, we're all imperfect. So, and we have the standard of like, oh, if my body's perfect, then therefore I get good things, and our society supports that. And it's really painful when we have to look at ourselves and realize, oh, I'm not perfect. And sometimes it's grief because you're like, oh, I will never. And then sometimes it's like, sometimes it's like, oh, I hate the word acceptance because it's not really that. You're like, this is it, like I will never, and it's like we have to come to the understanding that like no one will be able to match the perfect models of what is a beautiful body should look like. Not even the people who are the closest, because even they rely on Photoshop.
And also, it's temporary, right? Like that idea of the vessel being beautiful for these standards.
Yeah.
It's also something that it won't last forever. So.
Well, I don't even like to use I've stopped using the word beautiful actually, because like, who says what's pretty? Who defines it? And that is part of our subjugation. That's where we get in trouble, because we're like, oh, what's pretty? Who told you? Western society did. So, like, that doesn't mean anything to me. I think what you said is important to remember too. Your body's always changing. Yeah, so it's like, it's part of it is like having, like being with the change, because that's inevitable. Yeah. Yeah. I shouldn't laugh, but it's really sad that like we just really like want bodies to freeze at like what 25 and remain 25 forever, and then yeah. So I don't know. This kind of feels kind of depressing, but that's the way it is with like bodies, you know, when we talk about it.
But every time I say beauty, my perspective is like the eye of the beholder, right? Because we do appreciate things from like a personal perspective.
Yeah.
But when I say beauty, truly, it means like something that it comes from inside, like that picture. That is one of my favorite pictures ever, because there's just something so captivating about it. And as a photographer, I'm always trying to capture the perfect eyes, because they tell so much.
Yeah.
Right? They say they're the windows of the soul, or to the soul. But the lenses are kind of the windows to my universe.
Well, I think your relationship to beauty is more from artistic perspective. I'm speaking more of like beauty in general, as in like our culture, our beauty culture, And it's really hard to differentiate between the two, because it often gets mixed. Because I think being miserable in our bodies is a universal experience, but I will put this point on, it is still, if you're skinnier, you still have privilege. So it's easier to be in a skinnier body. Like, you may still feel like sad and stuff, but it is different. Like I said, like, it's a universal experience to feel judged by your body, and we do it all the time to each other. So we're all responsible for it as well, you know? So yeah, no matter who's like, if you're like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna put myself on display, I'm gonna invite judgment. And it takes something to be like, okay, I'm okay with like, I'm gonna face that judgment. And we're mean to ourselves just as mean as other people are to us too, you know? It's, yeah, it's scary, because you're like, I'm about to like, you know, not hide. So
differently than fashion, that you're using the body to sell something or to promote something, and I think that it's imposed as some extra pressure. Just doing that to see yourself from different angles and to celebrate, like, not just who you are, but this moment in time, because like we were talking, like we're only getting older, right? And the first thing I get from people is the regret that they didn't have the courage to do that earlier in their lives, and having to deal with that, right? Like not our self-judgment, but the fact that, oh my God, when I was younger, I wanted to do, I couldn't do because what my family would say, or what, like, the, how you call that, not the repercussion, right, but all the judgment.
I have a really good friend, and she said that, like, when she once almost died from a flood, and she was caught in a flash flood, and that was her wake-up call. She was like, oh my God, this is not a dress rehearsal. Like, we're actually it's happening now. So, like, if there's, right? So, and I think, I don't know, I do it sometimes too. I hold my breath and I wait. And sometimes it's not helpful to wait. Just, if there's something you want to do it.
Yeah, life is happening, right?
Life is happening. It's not a dress rehearsal. It's actually happening.
And like, I just shot a 64-year-old woman last week, and it was the same story, right? Like, I don't know how much time I have left, and it's so strong, that feeling of, I need to do this for, to be remembered in a certain way, or for my grandchildren and that kind of stuff. Like, no, you need to celebrate right here, right now.
Like, it's taken me a long time, but I'm like, I think I look pretty awesome. Like, I like the way I look. I mean, sure, I'm fat, okay, but like, I like the way I look. And then I think it's really important that like people start to like the way they look. Like if one person, just one person looks at my picture and be like, wow, she looks really happy. Maybe I don't have to be miserable. Then that's great. Because I just am really not about like misery. It really breaks my heart when I hear, when I see women so upset with their bodies and themselves. It's really painful for me. Because it's like, why live this way? So that's why I do it. If only just one person is like, okay, maybe I don't need to be miserable in my body. I mean, like, boudoir photography is not everyday life. Because you're not going to walk around. I mean, well, maybe for some people. But, like, most people don't walk around in underwear. Like, I don't do that. But it is a chance to, like, do something different. Because if we keep repeating patterns, then our brain always just knows the same thing. So sometimes this is a different way to break the pattern and experience yourself differently. And then maybe that'll provide some insight. Because, like, if we always do the same things, we will, like, our brain, we have a trick our brain. So
absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know how, see, like, I grew up really harsh on myself and my body. Like, my mother was just like, you're too fat, like, my entire life. And then I've had a horrible, horrible ex-boyfriend tell me that, like, he thinks I'm disgusting because I gained weight. Oh, yeah, no. Like, red flag city. And did I break up with him? No, because I was, like, desperate and yada yada. But, like, I don't know how. I think it's like I had like a couple of really big cheerleaders when I first started taking pictures. Like, they just said, you look awesome. So then I was like, okay. And then for some reason, those two people's voices, it was like they just stuck out in my head. So when I decide to take pictures, it never occurs to me that I won't look good. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. There is no reason. It defies logic because, like, I'm the type of person who grew up thinking, oh, like, I'm too fat, oh, but, like, when I take pictures, I'm like, okay, I look great. Like, I don't.
Because you do.
Well, it's also because I believe it, and I think that's part of it, right? If I think I look great, I'm like, no, you just, like, I'm here to look good, and you're here to capture me looking good. It's so ridiculous. I don't know how that came to be. I think I had some really loud people in the beginning just say, you look fucking fantastic. And I'm like, really? And then that was the loudest voice I heard.
Well, two blessings. They tell you that because it's true and you believe in those words.
Yeah.
Because it makes you feel in a certain way. Because, you know.
Well, I also learned that if I don't believe it, then that's when I look bad in pictures. So when I don't feel good, I'm like, but so I'm okay, well, you know, okay, it's happened before. I've taken good looking pictures. All right, let's do this. It's not fake it till you make it. It's kind of fake it till you make it, but I'm just like, I look good.
You need to feel and you need to believe.
Yeah, and there's like no option. Like when it's go time for me, I'm like, I look good. Like I really don't know where that came from. Like I think if someone early in their journey and they want to see true displays of confidence, just go look at drag queens. Just go look at drag queens. The moment a drag queen steps on stage, boom. Like, they just are. And it doesn't matter how crappy they feel about themselves 5 seconds before or whatever. They're like, this is my persona. I'm hitting the stage. It's okay. Like, I'm hitting the stage.
No, you're okay.
Yeah, who's your favorite drag queen? Just watch it. No, because, like, honestly, no drag queen, if you look at them up close, looks good. It's stage makeup. Stage makeup makes nobody look good, right? Like, but it's about the power. If people have trouble, it's like, okay, then who are you gonna become when you put the stuff on, right? Like, are you gonna be your usual, like, excuse me? Or, I mean, you can, but then your photos are gonna look like, excuse me. So, if that's what you want, that's what you want. Perfect. No one's gonna judge. But if you want, like, powerful stuff, then you think of who makes you feel powerful, then you're that, right? So it could be drag queen, it could be Lizzo, I don't know, it could be a dragon, I don't know, like, whatever makes you feel powerful. Like, for me, I no longer have to channel another person because I just feel the ground, I feel the energy, and I'm like, okay, I'm here, you know, like, but it didn't start like that. I was like, okay, what would my favorite drag queen do? Okay, so yeah. It's just our society hates like difference, right? Like, and I just think that like fatness gets a lot of it. That's like one of the number one like it's still on the rise. It's like weight stigma continues to increase every year. It's really hard, and people see it as a moral failing, because obesity is your responsibility, so society says. And I think for people, like, they've grown up understanding weight stigma and experiencing weight stigma, so it's very hard when, like, I'm sure half of the things women are, don't make me look fat, right? Like, in pictures, right? Like,
there's some...
it's normal. Don't make me look fat. Because fat means, like, there's something wrong with me, and then people are going to make fun of me. Like, that's something that we've grown up believing, so... And it's hard for me sometimes too, and I have to tell myself, okay, Jen, like, really, like, it's hard it's not easy, but you just have to ask yourself, where did that come from? I trust the photographer during. I'm like, you're gonna make, like, you'll do your thing to do your art, but I think it's important that people look at the photographer's body of work, and I don't think everyone does that. Like,
they superficially will look at some stuff they like. That's enough sometimes to make a decision.
Yeah, it's what they're about. Like, are they able to coach different bodies? Because different bodies, like, you have to do different things to achieve shapes, and then also, like, are you able to, like, appreciate all bodies? And if someone only shoots young people, you're like, okay, if I'm older, like, maybe, like, you won't appreciate me. You know what I mean? Like, that, I think that's important for people to look at too. Look at who they shoot.
That's right. What are we doing today?
We're glamming her up. Pretty to prettier.